What's different about my story is that my dad really loved basketball.
D for Desi. I thank him for my two beautiful, healthy children and my freedom.
The person that you are off stage is who you are on stage.
You gotta get a still of this.
What made you even think about doing a show about the autobahn?
Everything we were afraid of is happening.
Tanya's voice is in all of us that sing country music.
The Kremlin hates Navalny so much, they refuse to say his name.
Something's being done. That's just simply not true.
Their reason for having an abortion was their reason.
I don't want to be a part of it. I would like for us to be it.
A white parent doesn't really even know they have a racial identity.
I wanted to watch this revolution. I had been watching it for years.
You only get so many opportunities, and then they're gone.
Yes, Sam!
Good night, opportunity.
Please welcome the host of the 7th Annual Critics' Choice Documentary Awards, actor, comedian, and producer, 3-time Emmy and Grammy winner, Wyatt Cenac.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out to the 7th Annual Critics' Choice Awards. Although I'm saying thank you, but you're all here because you make and appreciate documentary storytelling. And this is the awards show that celebrates the great work you do. So I guess it's actually more like you're welcome that you're at the 7th Annual Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Which, no pressure, but keep making good stuff so that next year they don't have to turn this thing into an awards show for TikTok explainer videos. Like, there are a lot of unqualified people out there with their cell phones sitting on the dashboard of a Nissan Sentra breaking down relationship attachment styles, and they need award shows too. Documentaries are powerful. In a world where people often say history is written by the victors, documentaries have the ability to call bullshit. Documentaries can inspire us with real stories of hope and change. They can create bridges towards better understanding and empathy for one another. Great documentaries can educate. I don't remember the name of my 6th grade teacher, but I know that she made us watch Eyes on the Prize for a week. I mean, she was also trying to quit drinking at the time, so. Yeah. So is she a hero? I don't know. But documentaries, they have the power to do great things, unless you're Kyrie Irving. Then a documentary is going to get you in a lot of trouble for spreading hateful misinformation. Which I don't know if that filmmaker is here tonight. I'm going to assume not. But to all of you documentary filmmakers whose work often lives on the platforms of mad billionaires, perhaps we need to find a better verification process. I don't know, maybe like a blue check that costs $8 a month. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I honestly don't even know why they picked me to host. I'm serious, because I'm a guy who made a comedic docuseries that went off the air in 2019, and I haven't worked since. And I'm not saying that to earn your pity so you pay me some attention before you inevitably go back to your table conversations. You know, those ones where you talk about how you just bumped into R.J. Cutler in the bathroom and you think he might be interested in producing your passion project about a little band that nobody ever heard of that changed music forever. And I get why you would want to. Tonight is a magical night where dreams come true. But I'm just going to tell you this right now, and I'm saying this on behalf of R.J. Cutler. He's not going to produce that film. He's not. I know, because I already tried. Because the world needs to know about Bobby, Jimmy, and the Critters. Yes, they were like Weird Al for black people. They were. It was a real band. They made a song called Roaches. It was a parody song of Rumors by Timex Social Club. Weird Al was too scared to take on R&B, but Bobby Jimmy wasn't, and his story needs to be told. But whatever, it's your loss, R.J. Cutler. But if any of you want to talk to me about it afterwards, I will be around. I'll be here throughout the evening, which should only take a couple of hours. But we are filming this to turn it into a 6-part, 10-hour exploration on humanity's desire for recognition in an ever more isolated world. Again, you are so welcome for being here. And I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. And now, to present our first award is a woman Forbes magazine called Supermodel turned Supermogul. The supermodel part includes acting in films and television series and appearing in 13 consecutive Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues. The supermogul part includes writing books, having her own record label, as well as a branding business that generated sales of $3.1 billion last year alone. This year, she's ventured into the documentary space with Anxious Nation, which explores why we are living in an anxiety epidemic. Here is Kathy Ireland.
Thank you so much. So grateful to be with all of you tonight at this extraordinary event with the world's finest critics and genius nominees. So for me, being here tonight is a first, and any first in your life is important. From your first words, your first steps, your first day of school, first love, first kiss from our children. These are all very important memories. And from my long ago modeling days, that first magazine cover was a major step forward in my career. And then when I started designing and marketing, that first collection receiving 5 Good Housekeeping seals and an Architectural Digest award, we were so grateful. And great first. And I am so thankful to the critics for those first reviews of, Wyatt talked about acting, the first critically honest reviews of my acting quickly got me behind the camera, and now as a new producer, so I'm so grateful for the honesty of critics. So for the nominees for Best First Documentary Feature, getting their film made is likely a dream come true. And we're all so proud of you. Dreams are important, and we all need to dream more. So here are the dreamers nominated for Best First Documentary Feature.
Best First Documentary Feature. John O'McLeod, My Old School.
Police found that Lee had 2 passports.
People thought he might be a spy.
And that was when he said,
"My name isn't Brandon Lee, and I'm not who you think I am."
What? Amy Poehler, Lucy and Desi.
There are, 20-some tapes like this.
A lot of these areas are things that nobody knows but me.
Lisa Hurwitz, The Automat.
What possessed you? You're about 11. What made you even think about doing a show about the Automat?
David Sieve, Bad Axe.
After leaving Cambodia for everything America has to offer, everything we were afraid of is happening.
It's a hard time that we're going through right now. Every day is a battle.
If something happens to you, nothing matters anymore.
Andrea Arnold, Cow. Bianca Stigter, 3 minutes a lengthening.
For the Jewish inhabitants of Nashelsk in Poland, nothing remains. The only thing left is an absence. These 3 minutes of life were taken out of the flow of time.
Alex Pritz, The Territory.
Associação de Juventudes que querem só terra. No meu ponto de vista, eu acho que eles querem mais do que a terra. Eles querem acabar com o povo indígena, acabar com os isolados. A gente não vai permitir que aconteça, não.
And the critics' choice is David Sieve for Bad Axe.
Thank you so much. This is very unexpected. This is a dream come true to be here tonight. 9 months ago, I had $101.99 in my bank account, and nobody wanted my movie, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but IFC was there, and they were at our premiere, and I'm here tonight, and it's an honor. Look, this is a story about the American dream. About my family's American dream, and being here with you all tonight, it's my American dream. So thank you to my family. Thank you to my wife, my producer. She's my backbone. My other producers, Jude Harris, Diane Kwan, IFC, my team, my publicity, David Magdell. It's so special to be here tonight. I am so honored to just be in a room with so many amazing filmmakers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He's an actor and comedian in such successful television series as Mad About You, Spin City, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Gotham, and currently East New York and The Watcher. He's also a Tony-nominated stage actor. Here's Richard Kind.
Congratulations, David, on your award, and although you're married, on your recent bar mitzvah. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm here because they asked me, but I'm just so happy that there are so many more outlets for us to watch documentary awards, and I am proud to be up here. I congratulate every one of you who make these things. I can't imagine how hard it is to do it, but I'm going to tell you a small story. When my child was 11 and one of them was 9, I took them to the All-Star game at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. And we were so high up in the nosebleed center, every 6'11" basketball player looked this big. And we're watching the whole game, and at the halftime, they introduced the ambassador for next year's All-Star game. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jordan. And my 9-year-old son started crying. I said, honey, what are you crying for? He goes, I can't believe I'm in the same room as Michael Jordan. But I want to say tonight, because I can do this because I'm up here, I can't believe I'm in the same room as Barbara Koppel. I don't know where you are, but it's as if, I know this sounds crazy, it's as if you don't exist. Your movies just came out, we watched it, we see your name, and I never saw a face, and I don't know where you are, but there you are, there you are. You get applause later, but my ego had to say something. Okay. Here is the first category. Telling a story in documentary film isn't just about recording the action. It's also about how the images are captured. And that's what we call cinematography. Now, as you watch these nominees for Best Cinematography, remember that the director of photography, and this is in the script, so I'm not making this up, is responsible for all of the on-screen visual elements, including lighting, framing, focus, composition, camera motion, and camera angles, as well as the choices of film stock and lenses. So I read this, and I said, what the hell does a director do? Here are the nominees.
Best Cinematography. The cinematography team, Our Great National Parks.
One of the world's few albatross colonies not in decline due to the lack of predators on the island and the ban on fishing within the marine park.
Ben Bernhard, Riju Das, All That Breathes. Gabriela Asio Van Den, Jack Weissman, Sam Holly, Nuisance Bear. Alex Pritz, Tangai Ira Iwawa, The Territory. Magda Kowalczyk, Cow. Lucas Tucknott, McEnroe.
New York, it's where I'm from. But it's also who I am.
And the award for the Critics' Choice for Best Cinematography is the cinematography team for Our Great National Parks.
Accepting on behalf of the cinematography team is James Honeyborn.
Two of our 70-plus cinematographers here tonight, Gemma Lang and Nathan. Gemma Lang's from Jakarta, Nathan's from Nevada. But it was a team of over 70 cinematographers all over the world filming during the pandemic. So we'd just like to thank the Critics' Choice Association and congratulate all the nominees in this category. It wasn't possible to get everyone else here, of course, but we're really grateful to be recognized. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. I think it's great that he filmed his walk up to the stage, and I look forward to next year's documentary film. Now, once the film is shot, it's turned over to an equally important member of the team, and that is the editor. And I know how important an editor is because these editors have made me very unfunny in a comedy. Now, it's been said that the editor is like the midwife who helps the director bring the baby out. But because we've just eaten, I'm going to leave it at that. The nominees for Best Editing are
Best Editing. Langdon Page, Maya Daisy Hawk, Navalny.
Alexei Navalny has taken on the most dangerous job in the world, challenging the leader of the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin.
If I want to be a leader of this country, if I want to fight Putin, I have to organize people.
Helen Kearns, Rej Cabrera, Goodnight Oppie.
At 40 feet, the back shell fires retro rockets, slows the rover down to 0 miles per hour, and then cuts the last cord.
Jub Biz Olson, The Beatles Get Back.
All right, Glynis, we're off again.
Joe Beshenkovsky, George Carlin's American Dream.
He kind of spoke to issues in a way that didn't feel like eating your vegetables. And that was what first struck me about Carlin when I was young, was that he was funny, he was smart, he was human, he was open, he was opinionated, he was curious, he was political, he was sexual, he was human.
And he was just so cool.
Aaron Casper, Jocelyn Chaput, Fire of Love.
For Patu and Maurice, the unknown is not something to be feared. It is something to go toward.
Moi, j'aime bien qu'il marche devant moi. Je me dis, si Lucie va se tuer, je préfère être avec lui, donc.
Katerina Wartena, 3 minutes a lengthening.
It was like a magic moment.
By defining the loss of that world, we might succeed in keeping the memory alive.
Brett Morgan, Moon Age Daydream.
I'm the space invader. I'll be a rock and roller dance for you.
And how about the shoes? Are those men's shoes or women's shoes or bisexual shoes?
They're shoes, you silly.
Bravo. And the critics' choice for Best Editing is Brett Morgan for Moon Age Daydream.
Thank you so much. Very honored to accept this award on behalf of the editors. Very honored to be nominated with such a distinguished group, including my former colleague, Joe Beshenkovsky. I'm here today because of people like Joe and Stuart Levy and Connor and all the editors who I learned from and taught me along the way. And I'd like to thank HBO for supporting this film many years ago before it was anything. And I know my former teacher and mentor, Barbara Koppel, is in the room tonight. And Barbara, I just, wherever you are, I'd just like to thank you and know that the seeds you planted 30 years ago are still growing today. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is awkward. Brett and I are wearing the exact same suit. I kind of feel like since he just won, he should have to turn his inside out and wear it like that for the rest of the evening. I believe you all are on my side on that one. Yeah. All right. So yeah, flip your suit inside out, winner. All right. If you know anything about music, you probably know our next presenter. And if you know nothing about music, I have a lot of questions for you. Like how? Like what the fuck is wrong with you that you don't know anything about music? But you probably know this gentleman who has played with almost every music legend there is. For 33 years, he was David Letterman's musical director and comedic partner. He served as musical director for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, its first 30 years. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was in the classic rock mockumentary Spinal Tap, and let's not forget, he wrote the song It's Raining Men. Yeah, which looking back, maybe he should have specified what kind of men it was raining. Like, is it gonna be a tropical storm of toxic masculinity? Because then you might want to stay inside, everybody. Anyway, make some noise right now for Mr. Paul Schaefer.
Well, thanks so much, everybody. You know, when I started out in this business, and by the business I mean this industry, I had no real plan for the future, but music became my life. And I've been so lucky to have experienced so many great musical moments in my career. Yes, I have played with so many of the greats, Mick and Keith and McCartney and Bowie. But my absolute idol was James Brown, and every time, yes, indeed, the godfather of soul, Mr. Please Please, the hardest working man in show business. He deserves all those accolades, and every time I played with him, it was like a music lesson. I never thought I could be so funky. I mean, a white boy from Canada getting down with the king of soul. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And this is pretty great tonight because tonight I get to present the Critics' Choice Award for Best Music Documentary. This year's nominees go way back, all the way back as far as Satchmo himself, Louis Armstrong. Yes, indeed. But the nominees also include one about David Bowie, about Leonard Cohen, about Tanya Tucker, Sinead O'Connor, and the Beatles. Who doesn't love the Beatles? Another one of the nominees is about Abbey Road, the London studio that the Beatles made famous, and that one is directed by Paul's daughter, Mary. Here's a little taste of these great music documentaries.
Best Music Documentary. Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen, A Journey, a Song.
Leonard, he was always a spiritual seeker.
Unlocking the mysteries of life was his primary preoccupation.
Sitting in a meditation hall for 4 or 5 hours a day, you kind of get straight with yourself.
The Return of Tanya Tucker, featuring Brandi Carlile.
There's all these people that are watching that are wondering, is she gonna make it?
Say a prayer. I need it.
The Beatles Get Back.
Choking. My voice is choking. I just wish I had yesterday's voice for today's backing. I was swinging yesterday. Voice-wise, that is. I've just gone over the top.
Don't let me down.
Moon Age Daydream. If These Walls Could Sing.
Think about Abbey Road as being a kind of mother of the music that's been performed there. She has preserved it for us. She's embraced it with her personal acoustic. And so it's a gift to us.
Nothing Compares.
I wasn't thinking to myself, I must be strong. I didn't know I was strong. An artist's job is sometimes to create the difficult conversations that need to be had. That's what art is for.
Louis Armstrong's Black and Blues.
My only sin
All over the world,
is in my skin.
he had the respect
They laugh at you
and the love of millions.
and scorn you too. What did I do
What more can any man ask for?
to be so black and blue?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Critics' Choice is The Beatles Get Back.
Accepting on behalf of the Beatles Get Back is producer Jonathan Clyde.
I should have ordered a cab. God, the journey. Anyway, listen, thank you so much. On behalf of Jeff, my fellow producer, and myself, they accepted this award on behalf of the Beatles and Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson and his amazing technical team from New Zealand. And if this was really a film about music and the creation of music, and it should give encouragement for any creative group in any field of endeavor, that you go through bad times and good times, and you get there in the end. And to see the Beatles work this out. It was a sort of jaw-dropping experience for us, working on it, and now for everyone else. Thank you so much, and thanks to the Beatles.
So I've got one more award to present, and that is for, well, it's named after me, Best Short Documentary. I think that the music business has proved that things don't have to be long to be great. Apparently, Elvis Presley's #1 hit, Teddy Bear, was only 1 minute and 46 seconds long. And the Beatles, From Me to You, which was their first UK #1, also clocks in at under 2 minutes. And documentaries, no different. These nominated films all had to be less than 40 minutes to qualify, which is it's practically an entire LP's length in music. LP is, later I'll explain what those used to be. Here are the nominees.
Best Short Documentary. 4 Seasons Total Documentary.
I got a phone call from my son Anthony, and he said, "Mom, this is bigger than we think." And he sends me a picture while I'm talking to him. And Rudy's sitting at my desk, and the plaque in front of my desk says, "Boss Lady." I looked at my husband, I said, "I think we better get over there."
38 at the Garden.
This is who I am. This is what I'm capable of. All you guys need to do is watch and see.
This kid came out of nowhere and started balling, like, for real.
It wasn't just Asian people talking about it. Everybody was talking about it.
My Disability Roadmap.
I like hanging out with my friends and going on adventures.
Yes, sir!
And I'm a speed freak.
Nuisance Bear. Stranger at the Gate.
This guy doesn't know me. Hugged my leg. That was pretty heavy. They don't even know the truth.
The Flag Makers.
I love America. I know it's not perfect, but that is beauty. You don't love something because it's perfect. You love something because it's yours.
Angola, do you hear us? Voices from a plantation prison.
Man, we need help.
I've been to 35 prisons across the country, but this I knew was historical. To be on a prison plantation, not just to perform, but to activate.
And the Critics' Choice. They are hard to open, these, just like on the Oscars. There's a sticker. Critics' Choice is Nuisance Bear.
Accepting on behalf of Nuisance Bear are Gabriela Osiovanden and Jack Weissman.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have to read it, I'm sorry. We're so humbled by the reception of this film, and it's so special for us to be a part of a rising genre of animal-centric storytelling. To be here amongst filmmakers who we greatly admire is truly a dream come true. As we continue to experience the effects of the Anthropocene on animals, on the planet, and on ourselves and each other, we hope that films like these will emphasize our need for compassion, and may we look to the natural world to guide us in the face of the climate catastrophe. And we'd like to thank Chris Campbell and the entire Critics' Choice membership for this incredible recognition. Thank you to The New Yorker and Condé Nast for believing in us. Thank you.
She's a Billboard chart-topping recording artist and Tony Award nominee for Best Featured Actress in a Musical for her performance in Billy Crystal's Mr. Saturday Night. Please welcome Shoshana Bean.
Continuing the musical theme, I'm here to present the award for Best Score in a Documentary. Film was never silent. Music was always played as an important role, even when it was initially played in movie theaters just to cover up the whirring of the projector. Today, it's a recognized art that attracts classical composers and rock musicians alike. Here are the nominees.
Best Score. Max Avery Lichtenstein, The James. Blake Neely, Good Night Oppie. David Schwartz, Lucy and Desi. Marius DeVries, Matt Robertson, Anna Drubich, Navalny. Nicholas Godin, Fire of Love. Hummy Man, The Automat.
And the Critics' Choice is Blake Neely for Good Night Oppie.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to come, the guy that does all the TV and superhero stuff, but documentaries are actually my passion, and I made a really smart decision, crazy decision about 9 years ago when I decided to stalk Ryan White and convince him to take a chance on me. And now, 9 years later and 11 or 12 projects later, we've gone to space, and it's thank you, Ryan. I can't believe, total Ryan, to not even be here while I accept the award. Jesus, where are you, in the bathroom? Anyway, Ryan, Jess, I will score cat videos for you. I love you to death. Thank you.
He's an actor known for films like Grand Canyon, Clueless, and Waitress, as well as television's Law & Order, 6 Feet Under, and currently FBI. He was also a Critics' Choice nominee for the comedy series Suburgatory. Here's Jeremy Sisto.
Grand Canyon, that was my first movie. Oh no, I was gonna read the thing already. No, I'm not gonna do that yet. So yeah, what am I doing? I'm doing the sports thing. So look, I'm a big Knicks fan. I like them. Yeah, they're good. I like them a lot. I love watching. I watch them all the time. But the thing is, I was in Chicago when I was younger during, Michael Jordan's reign, and I was in LA for Kobe's reign, and I didn't jump on those wagons. They weren't really my speed. I like a team like the Knicks. I enjoy the struggle, because for me, it's about the individual journeys of these players fighting for their time on the stage and overcoming personal obstacles and fighting amongst themselves and, drama, right? I'm on some very macho text threads, maybe with some of these, and I always cause awkwardness because I'll bring up the player's childhood when they have a bad game. And they don't understand why I do that. Anyway, because it's all about story for me, that's how I watch sports, and so I am honored to present an award for filmmakers, or 2 filmmakers who have devoted themselves to telling the stories. Here are the nominees.
Best Sports Documentary. Hockeyland.
We here will follow you to hell and back, but this is on you.
You're some of the best hockey players in the state, which puts you as some of the best hockey players in the country.
Kaepernick and America.
Colin Kaepernick returns, and he is no longer just a football player. He's become an activist. His protest during the national anthem has sparked a national conversation.
McEnroe.
The way that they're putting me through the ringer, you feel like you're a piece of meat.
If you believe what you read in the more enthusiastic British dailies, John McEnroe is the main threat to decency on this island.
The only way that it could get better was if I won.
The Redeem Team.
You know, one thing in going to see someone great in another sport, these guys are great in their sport. They get to see greatness.
Welcome to Wrexham.
We have been in this league for the last 13 years, and so obviously some things are going to have to change. But what is really important to us is to make sure that we continue to hold sacred the foundation of what this club is and means.
Citizen Ash.
It was like Joe Louis winning the heavyweight championship. That's the first time that Black Americans really became aware of Wimbledon. And now they follow it.
Inspiring stuff. All right, here we go. So, and the winner is? Okay, we have a tie. Our first winner is Citizen Ash.
Accepting on behalf of Citizen Ash is Rex Miller.
Come here. And introducing my long-suffering producer, Beth Hubbard. We're so happy to be here. This was a 6-year project. Special thanks to the Ash family, Johnny Ash and Arthur's wife, Jeannie Ash, our friends at HBO Max and CNN Films, Laura, who's here, thank you so much, Courtney Sexton and Amy Entelis, and we're just happy to accept this award. Thank you so much.
And also thanks to Dog Wolf.
Thank you.
Oh, I think this way, yeah. There, through there.
I'm an Knicks fan too.
All right. Which they leave. Okay. And we have another winner too. Welcome to Wrexham. Wrexham.
Accepting on behalf of Welcome to Wrexham is Rob McElhaney.
Wow. How could we have a tie in the sports documentary? We got to do a playoff or something. This is my other executive producer, George Dewey. Both Ryan and I are known more for scripted entertainment, but I can tell you in my house, the only thing that is ever on are documentaries. So thank you for welcoming me and us into your community. I'm truly honored. I also want to say thank you to the Critics' Choice Association, everybody at FX and Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN. But most importantly, I want to say thank you to the people of Wrexham, the town of Wrexham, who have opened up their homes and their hearts and allowed us to tell their story. I hope we did you proud. Thank you.
He's the Emmy-nominated director behind the hit documentaries The Keepers, The Case Against 8, and Assassins, and a nominee tonight for co-writing, directing, and producing Good Night Oppie. Here's Ryan White.
I wasn't in the bathroom, I was backstage. Congratulations to Blake, one of my best friends in the world. Thank you for publicly embarrassing me. History is everywhere. Take a look around here, the Edison Ballroom. In 1931, it was a theater and operated as one for over 60 years. During that time, its most notable production was the notorious avant-garde risque O Calcutta, which featured extended scenes of total nudity and ran for 13 years. The sex-related sketches were written by, among others, Sam Shepard, Samuel Beckett, Jules Feiffer, and John Lennon. The theater closed in 1994, and in 2008, it was turned back into its original Art Deco state as the ballroom you sit in tonight. No one has made a documentary about this place, not yet, but our nominees for Best Historical Documentary have found plenty of other fascinating topics to explore. Take a look.
Best Historical Documentary. The U.S. and the Holocaust.
And by defeating Nazi Germany on the battlefield, the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and their allies stopped the killing of the surviving Jewish people in Europe.
The Automat. Descendant.
Don't even mention it outside of our house because you could be killed. You could be lynched for making that accusation. You're talking about 1860 up until the 1960s. That's 100 years.
Still working 9 to 5.
When we were promoting the film, we were counseled by some media person. And he told us that we should emphasize that it's a comedy.
Lowndes County and the Road to Black Power.
It was nothing to be riding down Highway 80 and suddenly a pickup truck of white men pulled from the side of the road and started chasing us with their guns hanging out the window.
3 minutes, a lengthening.
There were a lot of people, the whole city. It was like a magic moment.
The Janes.
A decent one-bedroom apartment in Chicago was going for about $150 a month. Illegal abortions cost between $500 and $600.
Women of color were just kind of on the outs because they couldn't afford it.
And the critic's choice is Descendant.
Accepting on behalf of Descendant is Kyle Martin.
Hi, everybody. Incredibly humbled to be here in the presence of you all and sort of on behalf of Descendant and Netflix and Participant. But mostly really humbled and proud to be here on behalf of Africatown, particularly for this award. You know, it's a historical award about a community whose history has really been denied forever until just the recent future. You know, as Joycelyn Davis in the movie says, their story is not about the boat. It's not about the history. It's not about the slave ship. I'm just gonna take a second to shill this. Descendantfilm.com, which is not about clips of the movie or photos. It's about the work that we're doing, that the team at Participant Media is doing to try to correct everything that's happened in Africatown and sort of right the wrongs and find justice. Because, you know, if we don't, the story of Africatown will be a historical story, but it doesn't have to be. We can change it moving forward. So for me and for the Africatown community, thank you for watching the movie, and please get involved. We could use your help. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I assume that yes was for me and not that someone just delivered your drink. Although worthy of a yes too. Thank you. All right. We have got a lot of filmmakers in the house tonight. documentary filmmakers. But in the room tonight, we also have some of the subjects of their nominated films, including the titular Janes and flag makers of their respective films. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We also have the Ukrainian photographer from Freedom on Fire. Yeah. We have the incredibly talented Liza Jessie Peterson, who stars in the short Angola, Do You Hear Us? Voices from a Plantation Prison. Yeah. We have journalist activist Maria Pevchik from Navalny. Yeah. We've got Rob McElhenney, a star from Philly, who decided to buy a soccer team from Wales. Yeah. So many great subjects. There are others. Sadly, the Oppie Rover and the Nuisance Bear couldn't make it. But let's give a round of applause to the real people whose stories are being told and being honored here tonight. Our next presenter is the head of documentary programming for Onyx Collective and a 9-time Emmy winner for documentaries like Jim, the James Foley story, Teddy in his own words, and When the Levees Broke, a Requiem in 4 acts. Here's Jacqueline Glover.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm presenting the Critics' Choice Impact Award, which recognizes documentarians whose work has resulted in tangible changes. This is only the 3rd time this has been given. The previous 2 recipients were Joe Berlinger and Stanley Nelson. This year's award goes to Dawn Porter. More than 10 years ago, I was asked by a colleague if I wouldn't mind meeting their friend, a lawyer, who was thinking of switching careers and becoming a documentary filmmaker. Dawn and I met, and I will never forget her passion, drive, and curiosity, and her love for people and sharing their stories. Traits I'm sure shared by many in this room. Dawn was a filmmaker. The next thing I learned was Dawn had left her steady job to work on her first film. She made her directorial debut with Gideon's Army in 2013. A documentary about 3 Black public defenders in the South, which was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award and an Emmy, and which I was proud to work on for HBO. Her 2016 film, Trapped, which explored laws regulating abortion clinics in the South, won the Special Jury Social Impact Prize at the 2016 Sundance Film Festival, in addition to a Peabody and numerous other awards. In 2020, Good Trouble, her profile of civil rights icon, Her profile of civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis was nominated for 3 Critics' Choice Documentary Awards, winning for Best Historical or Biographical Documentary. She is now recognized as a leader in the art of storytelling. Her critically acclaimed projects have impacted generations of people from all walks of life. Here's a look at some of her work.
Impact Award, Dawn Porter.
When you work as a public defender, you say to somebody, oh, I'm a public defender, and then they're like, well, what does that mean? I defend people who are charged with committing crimes. And then they'll say, how can you defend those people? I tell them the truth. It's about the sanctity of human liberty and the cost of it if you want to take it.
Pete was with the president all the time.
Unlike his predecessor, Mr. Trump does not allow his staff photographer to capture photographs of life and work inside the White House.
If you just stacked up the images of the Obama presidency and the Trump presidency, you would see the 2 stories of America in the starkest possible contrast.
When Barack Obama was elected, I could see what he meant to the African American community. This 5-year-old kid asked Obama, "Is my haircut just like yours?" President Obama bent over and let that kid touch his head with his hand.
That image stands for how kids will see themselves differently forever.
People that acknowledge their mental health struggles, they're really like superheroes.
Treating people with dignity is the first act.
I think it's our natural state to be connected.
Fauzi and his friends are heroes. I really, truly believe that they are heroes.
I cannot imagine that there are mass graves somewhere in our community and we didn't try to find them.
They're buried somewhere, and the question is where.
We have encountered human remains.
It was like they had found people who had been disappeared by history. The earth had unleashed the truth.
Robert Kennedy's self-confidence came from his family.
From Ethel emerged a moral center. Unlike most guys with his power, he was a great father.
I think makes it worthwhile is you make the right kind of an effort. You can have an effect on their lives.
The Kennedys were in the middle of a transitional moment for America.
He had learned you didn't do things that you weren't going to win. But the new politics said you do the cause, whether you win or not.
He was always different than every member of Congress. Everybody knew what he had done. He was John Lewis.
We're marching today to dramatize to the world that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens denied the right to vote.
My philosophy is very simple. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, say something, do something. Get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble.
It is a pleasure to present my friend and colleague, Dawn Porter, with the Critics' Choice Impact Award.
Thank you all. I've been watching so many screens, I have to wear these glasses now. Thank you, Jackie. I remember that day when I walked into your office and I was so nervous and I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm not a filmmaker, but she believed in me, and so many of you in this room believed in me. And at a time when we talk about who is privileged to tell stories, I have been privileged to tell so many. I really want to thank the Critics' Choice Association for creating this category. It's so important to think about the impact of our work, and this award really puts the focus where it should be on the messages that we are able to convey with our art. So no one makes a film alone. It's always a collaboration with the producers and editors, our composers and graphic design teams who elevate our stories. And I've worked with the best, but it's really about our subjects. Whether it's the public defenders working with little pay or recognition, the abortion providers who risk their lives. I'm so glad the Janes are here. Pete Sousa, photographer, who helped us remember that the presidency is really about empathy, and a congressman who never gave up believing in the promise of our country. So our job as filmmakers is to do justice to their work, to recognize their resilience, their humor, and most of all, their beauty. So I'm so fortunate that they let me and our teams into their lives in recognizing my work, and I must say it's really emotional to see all of that together. but in allowing us all to gather here in community and to take a pause to recognize how hard it is what we do, but how important it is, as well as fulfilling. I have the best job in the world. I want to thank my empathetic husband and children for letting me travel all over the place when I should be home. And thank all of you for being in community. I have so many friends here. So in recognizing this work, you recognize all of the subjects of our lenses and the sacrifices that they make to create a just, beautiful, friendly, and inspirational world. So I thank you all of that the most for that. Thank you.
She was the medical examiner Dr. Melinda Warner in Law & Order SUV for over 200 episodes, has appeared in critically acclaimed shows like Billions and Better Call Saul. She'll soon be seen in the feature film I Want to Dance with Somebody about the life of Whitney Houston. Here is Tamara Tooney.
Thank you so much. That's Law & Order SVU. Okay, so anyway, good evening, everybody. First, I just want to congratulate all the nominees this evening, everybody who's nominated tonight, and everybody who submitted their film, and everybody who actually completed a documentary. I mean, to find the funding in order to do that is miraculous. So congratulations to all documentarians. Absolutely. So this evening I am presenting the award for Best Science or Nature Documentary. As you might expect, this category covers some of our animals like cows, polar bears, and birds, but it also documents the conflict between indigenous Amazonian rainforest people and the farmers trying to clear their lands. We also have a married couple of volcanologists. How often do you get to say that? Who sadly died together doing what they loved most. And there are 2 excursions into space, one with human astronauts from the private company SpaceX, and the other with NASA's Mars exploration rover Opportunity, affectionately called OPI, not Opie, OPI, which was originally expected to live for only 90 days, but ultimately explored the red planet for nearly 15 years. Here are those nominees.
Best Science Nature Documentary. Good Night, Oppie.
Our whole objective was to build 2 solar-powered rovers that could survive 3 months on Mars.
And the pressure on the team is really phenomenal. Was Mars once a green world with living things and blue oceans?
All That Breathes. Return to Space.
I just had this moment of almost pinching myself that I couldn't believe this was happening. I told myself, this is a incredibly special moment.
Nuisance Bear. Fire of Love.
They will leave behind hundreds of hours of footage, thousands of photos, and a million questions.
Cow. The Territory.
A floresta, os rios é a nossa casa, onde a gente se mantém.
Porque o Uruê-Uauau é como se fosse uma barreira.
Tudo desmatado.
And the Critics' Choice Award goes to Good Night, Oppie, written by Helen Cairns, Ryan White, and performed by Angela Bassett.
Thank you so much. We want to thank Opportunity and Spirit, the two rovers that went on Mars that were supposed to live for 90 days, and one went for 7.5 years, and one went for 15 years. But because of the category that we just got this award for, I think even before I made this film, didn't understand how much Mars was our sister planet. And when we talk about climate change and what can happen to our very precious planet, precarious planet that we live on, it's very hard to politicize two little rovers. And these rovers went across the surface of Mars for years and discovered unequivocally that Mars had been a warm, wet planet. And I think, you know, they had a few tools on them, and they were taking measurements, and it's very hard to dispute what these two little robots achieved during their lifetimes. And so I hope that this film can be a reminder to us on this planet what can happen if we don't treat our planet with the care that it deserves. So thank you very much.
The human voice is a wonderful instrument, isn't it? Some say it is the most perfect one of all. Listen to some film narrations and you'll agree. The right combination of images, words, and voice can be magical. Narration is truly a different art form. But someone has to write those words for the narrator to speak, and that's an art unto itself. So the critics give the Best Narration Award to both the narrator and the writer. Here are this year's nominees.
Best Narration. Riotsville, USA, written by Toby Haslett, performed by Charlene Modesta.
1967 had given the establishment proof that something was broken and being born. But the commissioners had to fight that view, obscure it. They wanted to present innocent dissatisfaction.
Our Great National Parks, performed by Barack Obama.
It's here that as a kid, I started to truly appreciate for the first time my place in nature. That I was part of something much bigger than myself.
Deep in the Heart, a Texas wildlife story, written by Ben Masters, performed by Matthew McConaughey.
In Texas today, elk bugle from mountaintops. Pronghorn grace the prairie, and desert bighorn have returned to their mountain homes.
Goodnight Oppie, written by Helen Kearns, Ryan White, performed by Angela Bassett.
Rover Diary. The signal from the vehicle is solid and strong. Opportunity is on Mars.
3 minutes, a lengthening, written by Bianca Stigter, performed by Helena Bonham Carter.
You think your memory will hold it all, but no. It slips away, it grows dim. Only a movie camera can bring it back to you with all its freshness.
Fire of Love, written by Shane Boris, Aaron Casper, Jocelyn Chaput, Sarah Dosa, performed by Miranda July.
This is Katja, and this is Maurice. Tomorrow will be their last day.
And the Critics' Choice Award for Best Narration is Goodnight Oppie, written by Helen Kearns, Ryan White, and performed by Angela Bassett.
I think I may have just accepted the wrong award on the previous one and talked all about science when it was actually about Angela Bassett. And so this time I'm going to talk about Angela Bassett, which was the award I think that was given out previously. So I was a little gay boy in Georgia who went to see What's Left. Thank you. that went to see What's Love Got to Do with It an obscene amount of times in the movie theater when I was 13 or 14. And from the very beginning, when we were making this film, Angela Bassett was the voice that we had in our heads. And so I want to thank Angela so much. We were sure she would say no to being in this film. And she watched the rough cut and believed so passionately in the story of these rovers that she said yes. And it was our production assistant, James Robinson, whose voice had been in the film for 2 years leading up to Angela Bassett. And James had a great voice, but once Angela recorded it, just took it to a whole other level. And I also want to say thank you to my co-writer. We had never written a screenplay for a film before, but this is my longtime editor, Helen Kearns. And for this one, we used the words of NASA. They wrote a daily diary to these rovers. And so I want to thank her for helping us script that out in such a meaningful way. So thank you, Helen. Thank you.
There are no mistakes at the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards.
She's known for Monster and The Watsons Go to Birmingham. She's also the co-director of Aftershock, which is nominated for 2 awards tonight, including Best Documentary Feature. Here's Tanya Lewis-Lee.
Good evening. Human lives make fascinating subjects for film, whether feature films or documentaries. Every year, the nominees for Best Biographical Documentary give us entertaining and compelling stories, and this year is no exception. We have comedy legends Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, and George Carlin, movie stars Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward, and Sidney Poitier, legendary shoe designer Salvador Ferragamo, counterculture filmmaker Robert Downey Sr., and civil rights activist Rosa Parks. Please take a look at some of these films.
Best Biographical Documentary. George Carlin's American Dream.
The Carlin that was on stage in the tux and clean-shaven was a persona that he had put on because that is what you did in showbiz at the time. It's like he de-transformed into who he actually was.
The Last Movie Stars.
The glue that held Joanne and me together was that anything seemed possible.
The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks.
As I sat there and waited to be arrested, didn't know whether I would be manhandled or hurt physically or what would happen. The policeman approached me. He said, "Why don't you stand up?" I said, "I don't think I should have to stand up."
Lucy and Desi.
B for babies, I love them. Sorry mine are growing up so fast. C for cats, I admire and envy their self-sufficient attitude. D for Desi, I thank him for my 2 beautiful, healthy children and my freedom.
Salvatore, shoemaker of dreams.
My desire to work with feet was unrelenting, and it took hold of me profoundly when I was still a small boy in a remote southern Italian village, 90 kilometers east of Naples.
Senior.
I'm very interested in who my dad is just in the here and now, because no one knows the hour in the day. We never know how much time we have with each other.
Sydney.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
I'm a black man in a white world. I'm a black man in a white world.
It was the first time I had seen a black man assert his power.
I'm a giant, and I'm surrounded by ants.
I wanted to marry Sidney Poitier.
All right. And the Critics' Choice is Sydney, Reginald Hudlin.
have to sincerely say I didn't expect this. Thank you so much. There's so many people we need to thank. I want to thank my amazing partner, Derek Mary, and his incredible company at Network Entertainment. I want to thank Apple for making this happen. I want to thank Oprah Winfrey for really making it happen. And I want to thank Sidney Poitier and his amazing family. I want to thank Sidney for making me able to exist. And I want to thank his amazing wives and children for being beautiful representations of all he is.
I'd like to thank the Critics' Choice for shining a light on Sidney Poitier. And I'd like to thank Apple Original Films for sharing this story with the world. This is such an inspiring film, and we have such incredible colleagues in the room, and your work is breathtaking. Just for me, it's so cool to be in the same room with Dawn Porter tonight as well, and to see her take her awards home. This is a film that's worth spending 2 hours with. There's no question about it. You walk out of your theater or your room or your home theater, it can change you. It absolutely can.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
He was nominated for an Oscar for Capturing the Freedmans, won an Emmy for The Jinx, The Life and Death of Robert Durst, and is one of the filmmakers behind the film and ensuing television series Catfish. Here's Andrew Jarecki.
Hi. When I started making Capturing the Freedmans, a film with which Barbara Cobble was extremely helpful, as usual. I think everybody in the room has been helped at some point by this amazing woman. But it started out as a film about professional children's birthday party entertainers in New York City. And after I'd been at it for about a year or so, I discovered that one of my subjects had a kind of a secret story that was much more disturbing and much more involved. And when I told him that the film was changing, he said, well, I don't know how I feel about that, but if you're even thinking about telling that story, I guess I should tell you that in 1988, when all this started, I had just bought a home video camera, and when the police broke down the door of our home, I started filming my family falling apart. The 26 hours of heartbreaking video that he shared gave the audience a chance to reevaluate a story that had been buried in lots of lies and propaganda over a long time, and even opened a door to a kind of redemption. For a documentary filmmaker, archival footage is the holy grail, colors everything, letting you sort of transcend the inevitably skewed memories of the participants to show an unvarnished and often more beautiful truth. Here are the nominees for Best Archival Documentary.
Best Archival Documentary. Fire of Love.
They meet on a blind date at a cafe. From here on out, life will only be volcanoes, volcanoes, volcanoes.
C'est très dur, deux volcanologues qui vivent ensemble, parce que c'est très volcanique, donc franchement, ça fait des éruptions très souvent.
The Beatles Get Back.
From the first time that she really done me, ooh, she done me, she done me good. Some tea and sandwiches.
3 minutes a lengthening.
When I discovered my grandfather's film, all I could do was to piece together the few fragments that remained. I had to look at the world around the images to find a survivor.
I recognized myself immediately in that smile.
Moon Age Daydream. Nothing compares.
At the time that I had my baby, my album out, I was 20, which is extremely young. And now I'm 23, which is still extremely young. and I'm still developing my personality.
Riotsville, USA.
A door swung open in the late 60s, and someone, something, sprang up and slammed it shut.
And the Critics' Choice is Fire of Love.
Accepting on behalf of Fire of Love is the director, producer, and writer, Sarah Dosa.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is heavy. I'm pretty floored. Just thank you so much to the Critics' Choice Association for this incredible award. This really means such a great deal to us. Just want to say a few thanks. First, National Geographic Films and Neon for putting Fire of Love out into the world. To Sandbox Films and Submarine, Cottage M and Intuitive Pictures. To my just absolutely incredible team, producer Shane Boris and Ina Fitchman, editors Aaron Casper and Jocelyn Chaput, executive producers Greg Boosted, Jessica Harrop, Carolyn Bernstein, Josh Braun, Ben Braun. Going through so much footage is such an intense thing and such a labor of love. It was such a team effort. I just want to say one quote from Maurice Kraft, one of our protagonists. He shared with a friend, he said, "Look at how small we are, us humans, amid these volcanic forces. The only thing that will remain of our human passage is that we can write, share stories, and film." Getting to work with Katya and Maurice Kraft's passage in the form of their footage and their words has been the greatest creative adventure of my life. And I'm just so thrilled and honored that their footage is touring the world once again. So just thank you so much for honoring their work, and it's just such a privilege to be here. So.
The Pennebaker Award, the Critics' Choice Documentary Lifetime Achievement Award. Sure, yeah. Yeah. It is named after its first recipient, the great D.A. Pennebaker, who accepted it with his wife and collaborator, Chris Hedges, in 2016. She's with us again to present this year's award. Please welcome Chris Hedges.
Hello, everyone. Obviously, this is going to be a Barbara Koppel love fest. Penny absolutely adored her, and so do I. Barbara's passion, her tenacity, her creative brilliance, and her generosity, which everybody has talked about tonight, and her mischievous twinkle in her eye, which I know a lot of you know about. I met Barbara in 1976. Women were just beginning to step into careers thought for men only, and documentary filmmaking was one of these professions. But very few, if any, documentaries directed by a woman were shown in theaters. Barbara was a pioneer with her very first film, Harlan County, USA. At the time, I was working with Pennebaker at his sprawling film studio on West 45th Street. Trained as an engineer, Penny actually built his own screening room, complete with a mixing studio and the equipment that made it possible to project 60mm film in sync with the audio tracks that were used to edit film. I distinctly remember the day when Barbara showed up. She swept in with a bevy of women editors, Nancy Baker, Mary Lampson, and Mira Bank, all whose films I had seen. Also, there was Barbara's handsome boyfriend, Hart Perry, who was the daring cinematographer on the film. Back in the projection room, Hart and I threaded up reel one of the fine cut of Harlan County, Then I made my way to the screening room with Penny. From the first images of coal miners lying on a conveyor belt descending deep into the pitch-black mine with the harrowing song, Dark as a Dungeon, creating the mood, through Barbara's terrifying scream, "Don't shoot!" I could see that Barbara's documentary was a movie, totally dramatic. It did what documentaries can do best, which is to take us into a world that we've never have access to and reveal the people and their lives in a powerful and unfolding story, witnessing the history of our times. Harlan County, USA won the Oscar. So did Barbara's second film, American Dream. That's an impossibly high standard to keep up, but 40 years later, Barbara is still making films of the highest quality and receiving awards and accolades for them. But it's never been about the prizes, it's always about the story. Looking for a thread connecting all of Barbara's work, and you'll likely be disappointed. But you'll find that Barbara loves people and loves telling their stories. But it's how she tells her stories that make them so successful. Her roots are in cinema. She started with Maisels doing cinema verite and the power of observation. What defines Barbara's work is the astonishing range of access she gets to her subjects and the intimate environments she creates. Her films, especially her new one, Gumboat Coalition, show that this nation isn't defined by the person or party in power, but by the everyday people working together to ensure the American dream isn't reserved for a lucky few. Take a look at some of the films of Barbara Koppel.
The Pennybaker Award, Barbara Koppel.
I try to make my films so that you, the audience, forget that there's a camera, and it's as if you're seeing life unfold. In making nonfiction films, what drives you is a storyline, being able to tell a story, being able to find something that's real, and taking an audience on a journey.
I want to go back to work. I'm ready.
Is that hard for you?
You bet.
Why?
Not being able to, provide for my family.
17-year-old Dan Garson went to photograph Woodstock for his high school newspaper. He was very proud of the fact that he had attended and survived and came away with hundreds of fabulous images, which nobody has ever seen until now. Probably the best images that were taken of Woodstock, I think.
The world is waiting for this fight. So you go to each other's dressing room to check the wraps and the gloves and so forth. So I'm in the dressing room with Tyson, and I'm looking to rattle this guy. I walk in, and he's punching, standing there, he's punching holes in the wall. I'm like to myself, oh no. This guy's getting ready to fight my guy, my little guy. And he's punching holes in the wall before he goes out to fight? Oh, no.
Seeing about 4 people in 6 weeks. Old pals who happen to be around. Here we are. There's one right now. I'm just going to haul off and eat it. And maybe I'll give you one too.
If I'm lucky.
Mmm. Those are sweet. Mmm. That's the way to eat a fig. Right off the tree.
We're going to boycott them for their music, and we're going to boycott you for playing it if you don't stop playing it.
Until the mood of our audience changes, we're not going to play them anymore.
We have not done anything wrong.
I think time's the greatest healer of all. Listen, they'll give Tracy Lawrence, who's a wife beater, another shot.
I don't
right?
want another shot.
each one of us who does nonfiction films does it because we have a great passion and a great vision for the work that we do.
Turning my head? Do it!
The way that I look at it is maybe I'll never be lucky enough to do another film. And so I better make this the best that I can.
And I sing because I'm happy. And I sing because I'm free.
There is no mold she's trying to fit in. This is who she is, and this is how she lives her life. It actually has nothing to do with being transgender. And at this point, she's come this far with it. There's no turning back. So there really isn't anything that she's afraid of, not that I know of.
The YouTube channel and shows and things that she's walked in, that's all great, but Gigi is bigger than all of that. Gigi is the real deal, like the big, like greater than the sum of her parts. She's an icon for being who you want to be.
One of the things I've always been interested in my life about, ever since you murdered my mother, is the collateral damage of violence. How all this, because of the size of the case, the gravity of it was so intense that it wrapped up so many people. And I certainly wasn't aware of that when I came back. And I'm pretty sure you're not. So this is a discussion to hopefully let you understand what has been going on and to talk about some really, some details about what has happened.
I would go to different people and say, would you like to invest in a film about coal miners? And they would look at me like I was out of my mind. And they'd say, why does a little thing like you want to do a film like this? And I realized that if I couldn't inspire people enough to put across my vision, that there had to be ways to do it myself.
Come on, you young feller.
I accept this award on the behalf of the miners of Harlan County, who took us into their homes, trusted us, and shared their love with us. And it is their commitment and loyalty which is honored here tonight.
Who are you working with, honey?
What?
Who do you
United
work with?
Press.
Will you show me your press card? Show me your press card.
Identification.
Ma'am?
May I see your identification?
Yes, ma'am. If I had him, I'll swear I've lost it. All I do is just say
I think I might have misplaced mine, too.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay, few voices have toughed it out in documentary as powerfully and prolifically as Barbara, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a woman director with such success and longevity. Penny would have been thrilled to know that this Critics' Choice Award goes to our friend, the amazing Barbara Koppel. Thank you, Barbara.
I can hardly talk. I'm gonna put my glasses on too. It's such an incredible honor to receive this award with all of you. Thank you so much to my friend Chris and to the Critics' Choice Award. It's so special to me to receive this award from Chris, and that this award is in dedication to the great, wonderful, eternally cool, smart as a whip, baby-faced, handsome D.A. Pennebaker. When I was Penny was one of the first people who really helped me and started to launch, my career. He was always there. And he may not have been right in my face, but he was there, and he was rooting for me all the time. I remember he was on the panel for the National Endowment for the Arts, and he must have been reading, hundreds of applications and clips, watching them. And I remember I sent my clip in, and it was in Harlan County, and it was in a courtroom, and the miners and their wives had just been arrested for standing on the picket line for wanting the right to have a union. And the judge, and I wired Bessie Luke Cornett, who was one of the miners' wives, and our camera was way back in the courtroom, and we just could open the door enough to be able to see the miners and their wives, and Judge Hogg was his name. So Bessie stood up, said, "Laws aren't made for the working people in this country," and that must have infuriated Judge Hogg, because he left the courtroom, and the courtroom just started applauding. And Penny, I was told, said, "If she can get this, I can't wait to see what else she's gonna get." And I got a $10,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts that was so critically needed. Penny was also the moderator when my film showed at the New York Film Festival. And that was the first time the film ever showed to an audience. And we Xeroxed 1,000 song sheets to "They'll Never Keep Us Down," so when Hazel Dickens came out, maybe the audience would sing with her. And Lois Scott, who used to carry a gun in her brassiere, as she called it, had just been made the head of the Black Lung Society's secretary and treasurer. And black lung, of course, pneumocomiosis is the black soot that goes into a miner's lungs, and he can't breathe, and there's really no cure for it. And she looked around the audience, and she thought, Alice Tully Hall. And she made her pitch for raising money. Suddenly, $5 and $10 and $20 bills were coming onto the stage, and she was picking them up as fast as she can. I glanced at Penny, and he was hysterical. He could not stop laughing. And he was just the most wonderful moderator and such a cool, incredible human being. Chris was joined at the hip always with Penny, and they made their films together, and they were never apart from each other. I remember I was standing with Penny at IFC, and he just said, "Where's Chris? Where's Chris?" And she'd forgotten her sweater and come back out. And Chris is an amazing woman. She cares so much about this community. She helps people. She does sound on their films. She helps them with their stories. She gives everything of her soul besides making fantastic films. So Chris, I love you so much. You are such a beauty. the Critics' Choice Association. It's such a thrill to be here tonight and to receive this award from you. I remember when critics would never even look at documentaries. And you all look at them, you read them, you shine a light on them, and you make it possible for our films to get launched, and if they're good reviews, and to get our films out there to audiences who wouldn't be able to see them. So I thank you from the bottom of our heart, my heart, for caring so much about the work that we do. Thank you. As a community, we support each other. We really care about each other. We're not competitive with each other. All we want is for each one of us to be able to tell a great story. If somebody needs help, we help them. If they need sound to be done and we can do it, we help them. Because if they make a really wonderful, great film, then doors will open for other filmmakers to have that opportunity. Documentary films are vital to our world. They show us the corners of humanity that we would never know about. They bring people together in an era where political forces are trying to separate us. They bring warmth and solidarity in an era that sometimes feels so cold. Making documentaries has never been easy. There are always obstacles. Maybe we're in the field for days or months or years, and we have to think about, will these people love us and trust us as much as we love and trust them? And also the bills to be paid. So it's extraordinarily very, very hard. I have made my life working to tell stories. And it's in my blood, and it means so much to me. And maybe the pain of doing a film and how hard it is and how stressful it is, the minute it's over and it shows to an audience, I just take a deep breath and think, what's the next one gonna be? So that makes me very happy. And one of the great joys in my life is to see this documentary community thriving. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is a very unique combination. He's a Bronx-born salsa musician, a civil rights, community, and political activist, and he is a deputy lieutenant for the Westchester County Department of Public Safety. As musician, composer, arranger, singer, and trombonist, as well as producer and director, he has created 40 productions that have sold more than 30 million records worldwide. In 2004, the Latin Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences awarded him a Grammy for Lifetime Achievement. Here's Willie Colon.
Hamana. Well, they say Critics' Choice doesn't make any mistakes, but as a Westchester Sheriff, I'm Law and Order SUV. Yes, I'm 73 years old now, and by this time, I'm usually in my pajamas. You know, so it's getting rough. I'm gonna have to find a different gig. I just was wondering, since all you people are here, does anybody have Kevin Costner's phone number? I want to ask him if I can get a job as a day worker at Yellowstone. And if he says no, I'm gonna do my own series called Brownstone. Yes, I'm a musician, but tonight I'm wearing my political hat. And what do we mean by politics? I'd like to announce my candidacy for the 2024 presidency. No, I'm just kidding. Well, this year's nominees for Best Political Documentary covered domestic social issues like maternal health crisis, including abortion and gun violence. They also look at foreign issues like Ukraine, Russia, and Afghanistan. Politics cast a very wide net, and here are the nominees.
Best Political Documentary. Navalny.
Не надо, нельзя сдаваться. Если это произошло, это означает, что мы необыкновенно сильны в этот момент, раз они решили меня убить.
The Janes.
We would really try to make clear to them they didn't have to justify themselves.
Their reason for having an abortion was their reason. I was not there to pass judgment.
Gabby Giffords won't back down.
Violence is a big problem. Too many children are dying. Too many children. We must do something.
Aftershock.
Thank y'all so much for being here. This is our first event. We're a little nervous, but we need to be here. We need to keep talking till they're hearing us. We're tired of saying that we need justice, we need change.
All the beauty and the bloodshed.
It was about power, and particularly about the power that men have over women, and how that power is translated up in society.
Retrograde. Freedom on Fire. Ukraine's fight for freedom.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Начались авиаудары, начались бомбежки, войска двинулись через границу, и мы проснулись в другом мире. Детей, 200-х возраст, мирное население, маленьких.
And the winner is Navalny.
Accepting on behalf of Navalny is the director Daniel Rohr.
I've never been presented an award by a sheriff. It's pretty awesome. So making any film is incredibly difficult, we all know this, but making a political film about the leader of the Russian opposition that Vladimir Putin tried to murder a few months before you started filming the movie is very challenging, extra challenging perhaps. And it takes a very special partner to make a film like that. A lot of people would be afraid to get anywhere near a story as hot as this one. And so when we were trying to figure out who that partner was, we immediately realized that Courtney Sexton and her team at CNN Films would be the perfect people to walk through the fire with us. And so I want to dedicate this award to Courtney and her team, first and foremost. And then there's the real reason why I'm here on this stage. An extraordinarily brave and courageous man who right now, as we are all enjoying this wonderful dinner, is languishing in a gulag about 6.5 hours outside of Moscow in a small cell, a solitary confinement cell, and he's there because of his political activism and specifically because of his anti-war activism. Right now, Alexei Navalny is the #1 anti-war voice in Russia, and he's languishing for it. I want everyone to remember his courage. I want everyone to remember his charisma and his humor. And I hope that Navalny's impact on the history of Russia is unfulfilled, and he gets out of prison, and we get to see him all very soon. Thank you very much for this distinguished honor. It's for Navalny.
His television credits include Bull, Desperate Housewives, Gossip Girl, and Madam Secretary. But you remember him best as the four-season singer and songwriter Bob Gaudio in the film Jersey Boys. Here's Eric Bergen.
Hi. Thank you. That was quite a voiceover announcement. Yes, shows that ran for 7 years, but you might remember me from the Clint Eastwood film Jersey Boys. It was enjoyed by tens of people across this country. It paid the bills. The next two awards, Best Limited Documentary Series and Best Ongoing Documentary Series, were included in the Critics' Choice Real TV Awards for the last 4 years. But from now on, they will be presented here on 47th Street at the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards. And that's a good thing, because if there is anything better than a great documentary, it's a great documentary series. Why, you may ask? Well, of course, it's longer. No, I'm serious, and you know, that gives us a much bigger canvas to explore and fill with so much more detail. So, with that, here are the nominees for Best Limited Documentary Series.
Best Limited Documentary Series. Hostages.
I had been watching it in a way for years, and I wanted to see it. I stayed there until late in the autumn, and then I went on a 2-week vacation back to the United States, came back about 2 weeks later, got taken.
The U.S. and the Holocaust.
Individual Americans performed heroic acts to save individual Jews. Some government officials battled red tape and bigotry to bring Jewish refugees to America.
We need to talk about Cosby.
That I would love to ask some people that I used to work with there, like, what in the world did you think was going on? You did wonder. You had to. Frank Scotty had all the answers. Frank is the one that took care of Bill.
Our great national parks.
The surfing hippos of Luongo. It just goes to show, the natural world can continue to surprise us, as long as we give it space to thrive.
The Beatles get back.
It's great. You're giving us a lift, Bill. We've been doing this for days.
The Lincoln Project.
What you're seeing at the top is the ads, but there's a whole bulk of work underneath it that is designed to sway voters in the right places with the right message. That's what we do in the political shop.
The Last Movie Stars.
With all other people, some things were possible, but not everything. The promise of everything was there from the very beginning.
And the Critics' Choice is The Beatles Get Back. Back there? Take a while. Oh, got it.
Accepting on behalf of the Beatles Get Back is producer Jonathan Clyde.
Hi, I'm Jeff Jones, an executive producer and CEO at Apple Corps, and I want to thank everyone at the Critics' Choice Awards for this fantastic opportunity. I want to thank Michael Lindsay Hogg for shooting this footage in 1969. Without him making that original film, Peter wouldn't have had the 60 hours of footage to deal with. And we started as a 2-hour movie and ended up as a 7-hour movie, so life took over. So thank you to John, Paul, George, and Ringo, everyone at Apple, everyone at Weta in New Zealand, and to all of you. Peace and love.
I'd also like to thank the London Metropolitan Police, not normally people you thank for anything, given their dodgy reputation, but on 2 counts. The first is that in the early 70s, 500 Nagra reels got stolen from Savile Row Studios, Apple Studios, and went missing. And 30 years later, we had a call from the police saying that they'd found them in a warehouse in Holland with bootleggers, and they executed a sting and we got the tapes back. Without those tapes, this film could not have been made, this series could not have been made. So the second reason is, thankfully, they chose 2 of the greenest and dimmest police constables to show up for the rooftop concert and create the Ealing comedy moment that the film needed. Thank you.
Richard Kind, what have you done to your guests? What happened at your table? They've all, literally, they all left. Richard Kind, what have you done? Is a new documentary coming to Netflix soon. I'll be pitching it in the lobby afterwards. And now, best ongoing documentary series, the shows that consistently bring us quality work. Here are the nominees.
Best ongoing documentary series. Cheer.
I keep in the back of my head that I have to be on my feet every time. I have to have good technique, feet together, stick stand.
Cheerleading, it's all a mind game. If you don't believe that you're gonna be the best, then you're not gonna be the best.
Unsolved mysteries.
I am convinced she did not take her own life. The lead investigating agency into the death of Tiffany Valente was the transit system.
30 for 30.
The tragedy of man is not that he loses, but that he almost wins.
Had a tuck rule. Never happened. You know, a lot of people would look back and think, well, what if?
Welcome to Wrexham.
It's really hard to win in this league. It's really hard to get out of this league. But I think we have to be up there in the top, 2 or 3 teams. I think anything below that would be a massive failure.
American Masters.
I realized that he had a real affection for me.
Let's forget this and get on to something dirty or obscene.
Fiction gave you a place of safety. It wasn't about you, but it was about you.
The Circus.
You can see that from the same states and places where you're seeing an attack on women's reproductive freedoms, an attack on voting rights, LGBTQ rights, we're going backwards.
And the Critics' Choice is 30 for 30.
Accepting on behalf of 30 for 30 is director and producer Gentry Kirby.
And Marquise Daisy, director, producer as well. Thank you, Critics' Choice Association. We're definitely an ongoing series for sure. 13 years will be our this year will be our 13th season, and One of the main reasons we keep on going is because of all of the directors that keep on telling their stories. Brett Morgan, Barbara Koppel, Dawn Porter also, not 30 for 30, but also, you didn't see there, she just did 37 words for us. So the fact that they keep on coming and telling their stories with us is why we keep on going. And of course, I'd like to thank our bosses too, Jimmy Pitaro, Burke Magnus, Brian Lockhart, Marcia Cook, and all of our team that works on these. Thank you.
Over the past 6 years, the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards has named as its best director such diverse talents as Ava DuVernay, Peter Jackson, Morgan Neville, and Frederick Weissman. Tonight, a new name will be added to this illustrious list. Here's a look at the work of our 8 nominees.
Best Director. Reggie Hudlin, Sydney.
He was like, wow, movie stars should be wow.
Biggest box office draw, Black Man, 1967-68. And the whole country is spiraling around him.
Brett Morgan, Moon Age Daydream. Judd Apatow, Michael Bonfiglia, George Carlin's American Dream.
Get that shit off of there and let me put my stuff down.
A place for my stuff is highly intellectual if you look at the skill level, the brain power it takes to break that down.
Laura Poitras, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed.
My anger at the Sackler family, it's personal. When you think of the profit of people's pain, you can only be furious.
Margaret Brown, Descendant.
They created this thriving place, and they've been holding it down and fighting ever since.
But by 2019, Africatown is completely surrounded every direction by some form of heavy industry.
Ryan White, Goodnight Oppie.
This is the very first time we breathe life into the rover. It's just a box of wires, right? But you end up with this cute-ish looking robot that has a face.
Sarah Dosa, Fire of Love.
Alone, they could only dream of volcanoes. Together, they can reach them.
Daniel Rohr, Navalny.
Alexei Navalny arrives at this hospital in Berlin.
To have your dad, an opposition leader, being poisoned, it was literally like a book.
Come on, poisoned? Seriously?
And the Critics' Choice is Ryan White for Goodnight Oppie.
Thank you so much to the Critics' Choice Association. Thank you for this incredible honor. Thank you to all the directors in my category and not in my category and that are here or not here tonight. My boyfriend always says I only have 2 hobbies outside of filmmaking, and it's women's tennis and then watching my documentary Heroes films, and they are everyone else in this category with me that inspire me so much on a day-to-day level. I want to thank my producing partners at Amblin and Film 45 who trusted me with telling this story. I want to thank my lifelong producing partner who's filming me right now. She's my best friend since we were in 4th grade together when we started making our first films, which were horror films. And she has made every film alongside of me. I want to say a special gratitude to Dawn Porter, who I love dearly, and Barbara Koppel, who I've met a couple times, but is my Facebook friend. So
I remember telling my mom and sister, like, Barbara Koppel became my Facebook friend 8 years ago. Such heroes of mine that were honored tonight. And finally, I want to thank the scientists and engineers that participated in this film so vulnerably, and we assume that scientists and engineers would not be emotional people, but I thank them so much for wearing their hearts on their sleeves in this film. Thank you so much.
Guess I'm not done. I got excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go join Richard at the table. And no, I'm not invited? Stay. But I mean, I could sit with you. You ordered a table for 10 for one, and I could join you, and you know, we'll talk about it later. She originated the role of Maureen in Rent. Yes, all right. Won a Tony for Wicked, and as Elsa in Frozen, she sang the worldwide hit Let It Go, which won an Oscar and a Grammy. Her documentary, Idina Menzel, Which Way to the Stage, is being released next month on Disney+. Here's Idina Menzel.
I'm glad he didn't leave before he had to introduce me. Hi, everybody. It's the final award of the night. Best Documentary Feature. Best Documentary Feature, period. Yes. All 10 of the nominees have been seen tonight in one award category or another. So all that's left now is to give you a brief recap of who they are. Here are those nominees.
Best Documentary Feature. Gabby Giffords Won't Back Down.
The same gift of connection and the same indomitable spirit that I saw in her when she was first elected to Congress, that doesn't go away.
Aftershock.
Black lives matter, but black wombs create black lives. And when we forget that, we forget our humanity. We want to make sure that our grandbabies, our children, have mothers to raise them, and that fathers are not left to figure it out on their own.
The Janes.
We knew that some would be injured, some would die. Many people around them, including children that they already had, would suffer. So we thought, we can be of use.
Navalny.
I was banned from everything and blacklisted. But as I became more and more famous, I was totally sure that it will be problematic for them to kill me.
And boy, were you wrong.
Yes, I was very wrong.
Descendant.
A lot of influential people involved in all this. I think the Book of Secrets is going to be open.
I don't want our history to be taken the same way our people were taken.
The Automat.
There was nothing like the coffee at the Automat. Nothing fancy or pretentious like today.
Goodnight Oppie.
The whole project was bound together by that feeling of love. You're loving the people who you operated with, who tended it with you so lovingly for so many years.
You don't get an adventure like that twice.
Fire of Love.
Les Américains disaient freelance. Mais il n'empêche que c'est vrai, nous sommes un peu des saltimbanques. Des coureurs de volcans.
Moon Age Daydream.
Ever since I was 16, I was determined we'd have the greatest adventure that any one person could ever have.
Sydney.
We're hanging together by a few cultural threads, and Sidney Poitier is one of those cultural threads.
The winner is Sidney Poitier.
It's not easy being the first when you have to represent the entire race.
Let's hear it for the Critics' Choice Top 10 Documentary Features of 2022. And now, this year, for the first time, the critics want to go one step further and recognize the top 3 finishers in our final category of the evening. If you are a bronze or silver winner, we ask that you stand to be acknowledged. If you are a gold winner, we ask that you come to the stage for your acceptance. These are Olympian efforts, and so for the first time ever, the bronze medal winner is Navalny. Please stand and be acknowledged. Okay, silver goes to Fire of Love. And the gold goes to Good Night, Oppie. Come on out!
Accepting on behalf of Goodnight Oppie is director, writer, and producer Ryan White.
We are so honored and humbled to be here tonight and to receive this award. Thank you so much. As documentary filmmakers, we find ourselves asking all the time, how did we get in this room? We feel so fortunate. And I mean the room where someone is doing something so remarkable, so great, not always a positive great, but so remarkable that we feel so fortunate to be there witnessing it with them. And that's what this film was for us. It was, in this instance, something truly great, truly positive. It was the work of people, the geniuses at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, scientists and engineers from all over the world, from all different walks of life coming together to do something great. And we were honored to be in that room, and we hope that the film takes you to that room as well. But secondary to that, and we are so grateful to be in this room with all of you, with our heroes, with such great documentary filmmakers, and we are so humbled, and we thank the Critics' Choice and all of you for this award. We thank you so much.
And then we just want to add to our composer, our editors, all the craftspeople that are in this theater right now. Directors get so much credit for the authorship of these films, and yet there are so many people that have these talents that we as directors don't necessarily have, except for Brett Morgan, who won for editing tonight. I stopped editing, I think, when I was 28. But I think it really is a testament to the breadth of this community, and I feel like that's what we loved about Goodnight Oppie making the film. So many engineers and scientists were careful about telling us, like, I only know how to do a fraction of this mission, and it takes thousands of other people being perfect at their jobs for this to succeed. So the editors, composers, sound designers, DPs, everyone in the room, thank you so much for helping us complete our film.
That's it for this year. Congratulations to all the winners and congratulations to all of the nominees.
I think so. That's all right. Just a reminder, there is an after party. It's right next door. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing your truths through storytelling in thought-provoking and powerful ways. On behalf of the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards, have a great night.